with a computing course or on its own, right? So what I'm going to walk you through, you're absolutely correct. There's 3 things in the title, and I've kind of woven them all together. So I'm going to tell you how we review all the courses in the IB by showing you how we've reviewed the course for digital society. Sound good? And then we'll see. We're probably going to run out of time, but I would like for us to try a little kind of inquiry project that's like a classroom experience that would be part of the next course. Does that make sense? All right. So welcome to the conversation. I'm going to skip through a lot of these slides. Yes, this is an art project by a Chinese artist, Cao Fei, who went to a series of smart light bulb factories in China and challenged the workers to kind of reimagine the space as a creative space and not simply a factory space. So it's just there for window dressing, right? I am going to introduce the review process, and also I'd like to get all of your contact info if you are interested in taking part in any review moving forward. And that way, again, we review math course, that one just came out. But if you find something that interests you, that way you'll have a direct contact in IB. I'm going to share and discuss some of the elements of the emerging course, and then we're going to explore and test one of its little inquiry projects that you would do with students around the concept of digital innovations. So that's a lot to cover in 90 minutes, which we don't actually have now. But I do want to start with a story. So a few weeks ago, IBM ran an advertisement on the biggest night of American television. So that's the Super Bowl for American football, quote unquote, right? And it was called Dear Tech. So we're going to watch this commercial very quickly.
Dear Tech.
Dear Tech.
Dear Tech.
Let's talk.
We have a pretty good relationship.
I love my smartphone.
And yes, I'm probably on it more than I should be.
I love my apps.
I love developing apps.
I love the way that you help me connect.
Dear Tech.
You've done a lot of good for the world.
But I feel like you have the potential to do so much more.
We're facing some big challenges.
How do we better protect our natural resources and better respond to natural disasters?
How do we bake security into everything we do? I want all my data to be protected.
I need a cloud that talks to my other clouds.
I need tech that works at scale.
Dear Tech, are you working for all of us or just a few of us?
Can we build AI without bias? AI that fights bias.
AI that helps us see the bias in ourselves?
We need tech that helps people understand each other.
That understands my business.
Dear Here's the thing.
It starts with people.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
I would like to make open source software the standard.
I'm teaching the next generation of coders.
We're working to help make sure your food is fresh and safe to eat.
That what you buy isn't a knockoff or from a sweatshop.
We're helping people take the turbulence out of air travel.
We're working on smarter ways to help people manage their diabetes.
We're doing the hard work,
and we need your help.
We need your support.
To make a difference in people's lives.
Dear Tech.
Dear Tech. Dear Tech.
Let's help make a difference in finance.
Let's make a difference in retail.
In telecommunications, insurance,
and healthcare.
Let's make a difference in government,
the environment,
and society.
Let's develop new solutions with the help of quantum technology.
QUANTUM. Quantum.
Let's use IoT to help victims of natural disasters.
Let's use blockchain to help reduce poverty.
Let's show girls that STEM isn't just a boys' club.
Let's champion data rights as human rights.
We have the power to do so much.
Let's do it all.
together,
together, together.
Together.
Let's expect more from technology.
Let's put smart to work.
It's a super glossy commercial, but at its heart, of course, it is talking about kind of the radical and disruptive changes of digital technologies and media in our world, which are transforming how we think, create, and communicate. A lot of these slides are coming from a diploma program update, and I'm going to walk you through some of the elements of the emerging course before I show you how we got to this course. So for the past 2 years, IB has been hard at work updating this prior course called ITGS. It was very much out of date, right? Designing for these disruptions, we are now calling this new course Digital Society, and it will begin in 2021, and it will invite educators and young people to critically explore this changing world of digital technologies and media to better understand where we are now and imagine where we might go next. This is a very fuzzy visual of the course framework. It is an inquiry-centered course, and so it imagines teachers and students as partners in inquiry. And again, just as the keynote talked about this morning, this is very much about seeing instruction as like this guided journey that you're taking with your students that can also be personalized and adapted for your individual local context, right? I can send you copies of the slides afterwards. It is also investigating the digital world, specifically using tools and perspectives of the social sciences and humanities. So we have mathematicians in the house, right? And so these are social scientists and humanities people popping their heads up and saying, we can add to this conversation as well. It is rooted in information and media literacy as well as digital citizenship. And I'll kind of show you the framework of skills and habits and attitudes that we're looking at for the emerging course. The course is arranged around a set of foundational concepts. We've heard a lot about concept-based teaching and learning this weekend, and this course is no different. This is part of an ongoing kind of transition the IB is making. Some of the concepts that we're looking at, and we have like specific types of topics associated with each of these, are disruption, sustainability, identities, communities, agency, and power, and there was one that's not on there yet, but systems as well. And then 3 kind of additional thematic units that go along with these foundational concepts, looking at values, so that's ethical systems and policy analysis, like where does policy come from, technologies, some of the kind of basic principles behind digital technologies, including their aspects as like computational, algorithmic, architectural, and so forth, and then a thematic unit on digital media. So what does it mean to create digital media across various platforms for various audiences? How can we critically engage with digital media? This is also part of the fake news conversation as well. And then focus areas. These are what we're thinking of as essential human experiences and contexts that we want young people to explore in terms of emerging digital technologies and media. And this is what we're going to play with a little bit today. Labor and commerce, politics and institutions, spaces and environments, arts and expression, learning and education, and well-being and health. So it's sort of like a super glossy introduction to the course framework. When the course is delivered, every topic in the course is going to be paired with teacher guidance and then sample student projects so that you can, it's a starter kit for teaching and learning. And then every topic expressed in clear everyday language. That's a wonderful innovation so that you can read a learning outcome and it's a complete clear sentence. It makes sense. It's something you can share with your students and that they understand what they're learning and also why they're learning it. Right? In terms of assessment, the new course is looking at exams that value deep understanding and conceptual connections over knowledge recall. If Siri or Google can answer a question, it's probably not a good question for a high-level, high-cognitive exam. Right? And then coursework, so this is stuff that students do in the course, and then teachers score, but then also send out for external moderation. We're looking at 2 different projects so that students in the IB, we have SL students and HL students, they're both valued as thinkers, creators, and global citizens. Again, heart of the course is student-centered inquiry. It's conceptually focused, situated in local and global context, and focused on teamwork, collaboration, and that's differentiated. We've already lost them. Wonderful. So that all sounds great. but where did the course come from? And this is where I'm going to show you how we make and review courses in the IB and use this as an example. So here's an origin story. Like all good origin stories, it involves key players. Who reviews courses in the IB? It's not simply a bunch of people in some faraway room that you never have contact with. It's actually a combination of different voices that come together. The primary one are teachers and educators. And so teachers and educators drive the review and the creation of courses in the IB, all of them, right? And teachers and educators, when we are trying to get people to come to the table and have conversations with us, they have to come from a wide variety of contexts and school types and regions. And so every region in the world has to be represented. Every type of school has to be represented, state-funded, independently funded, and so forth. We're looking for creating courses that are open and flexible for all variety of teachers. We do work with examiners and assessors. These are people who work currently with IB and score our exams and coursework every year. Sometimes these are also teachers. If any of you are interested in becoming an examiner, before you leave, I can also give you some information on how to do that in any of your relevant subjects. You do not have to be a current IB teacher to become an examiner, right? And it is excellent professional development, and you get paid for it. Not a lot, but a little, right? And then we bring in consultants. These are outside academics, thought leaders, public intellectuals. These are kind of crucial, critical friends who come and bring their voice to the table. With Digital Society, we've been working with people from National Geographic, American University, Oxford Internet Institute, and MIT Tech. And then IB staff, so that's like me, right? In terms of IB staff, and again, this is specific for the Digital Society course, but this is how all courses are reviewed. We have 3 big roles: a curriculum manager, that's me, we're in The Hague in the Netherlands. So when you're thinking about who writes the things that are in a guide, it's usually a curriculum manager working with all those other people. There's a subject manager, that's a person who's in charge of recruiting and training examiners and making sure it gets examined every year. They live in Cardiff in the UK. And then we have a research and design manager who gathers all of the data for an existing course and says, look at this criteria, it's not working very well, we need to fix this, right? And they all come together and have a conversation. So part of my job is doing kind of focus groups like this, where teachers and educators and students, sometimes they come and visit me in The Hague in the offices, and we have pretty intense 3-day meetings where we unpack, touch everything in a course and say, do we need to change this? Is this outdated? Do we need to update it? And so forth. So this is from a meeting from last week. I also work in visual arts. These are art teachers trying to visualize the next version of a visual arts course that's delivered to 16,000 secondary students every year. There's lots of games, lots of design sprints. It's pretty intense. So that's who takes part in our review process. This is the review process in one slide. And again, I'll send this out, but this is sort of like an internal image, an internal document. And I always like to share it with people outside of the organization so that they can understand a little bit of what we do. It's basically a design cycle, and it lasts 7 years. So when a new course comes out, for instance, literature and mathematics just came out, a new version of the guide. They'll be taught in schools for the first time in August of 2019, and then they'll be first assessed in May of 2021, right? And at that moment, the whole review cycle begins again. So it's like a course is living out in the world, and behind the scenes, there are various people like myself who are taking it apart and trying to imagine the next version of the course. In the research phase, this was the first kind of year visiting schools and universities and conferences and trying to figure out possibilities for the next version of the course. My kind of key question was, what are some skills, habits, and attitudes for young people that they need to thrive and lead in a digital society? And again, specifically from a social science and humanities perspective, and I'll talk a little bit about why in a second. right? So I went on a quest to find out, and I started listening to different researchers and experts and educators. I followed a group of current students from the moment they signed up to the course all the way through until they graduated and then went off to college. They were a long-term focus group of what were their expectations going in, what were their experiences during the course, and then what were their reflections afterwards about what worked and didn't work. So I did that for a while. I created a little program to go and scour the internet for every academic article within the major databases written about kind of digital technologies and media in the social sciences and humanities over the past couple of years. So it was like tens of thousands of articles, and sort of like creating a bibliometric visualization of like key issues, right, that kept popping up over and over and over again. It's a handy way to know this should probably be in the guide, right? So one of the things I found out is that with all of these types of big topics, there's this dense constellation of different types of college and university pathways and fields and professional pathways. And so a part of my challenge was to create a course that is going to allow young people when they exit it to go into any one of these fields and be prepared, right? And to understand like the big foundational questions that they might encounter and to give extra value to that experience. Some of these disciplines and fields, they're quite diverse. So information sciences, informatics, web science, internet studies, new media studies, digital sociology, digital humanities. Again, this whole kind of constellation of social science and humanities fields that are diving into aspects of the digital world around us. Some of the most important and relevant work in the past couple of years actually are coming from these social scientists and humanities scholars, not only from computer scientists or engineers or software developers, right? So in the past year, these are some of like the biggest, most important books that have appeared on the scene, and these are all written again from social scientists and humanities scholars. Everything from algorithms of oppression and people versus tech, the rise of surveillance capitalism. There's one there on automation and the universal basic income. These are helping to shape the conversation that our young people are going to be taking part in, right? So I often get a question of why are we focusing on the social sciences and humanities with this course? After all, what can these teach us about technology or the future, right? How are they going to help our young people land a job? So if we're to believe an increasing stream of news articles and think pieces, there's quite a bit actually. So this comes from Forbes magazine and like 2 months ago. Why is social studies becoming AI studies? Researchers calling for more humanity in artificial intelligence. Rising tide of digital humanities, humanities in the age of robots. And one reason, quite succinctly, this is coming from a collection of the 25 top AI researchers in a book that came out 2 weeks ago. One of them was noting that we need this kind of fellow travelers of social scientists and humanities to help put, as he put it, purpose back into the machine, right? So after going on this little listening tour, I moved up the chart and began to have in-person, face-to-face meetings in The Hague in the Netherlands. And again, bringing people together so that we could begin to actually fill out the chart of what we think the best skills, habits, and attitudes are for young people in a digital society. We started to think about learning as a journey. I like to play games in these meetings. This is actually from a video game called Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. And it's an open world game, right? In which the protagonist, Link, has any number of opportunities and independent pathways that they can navigate through the game. There's no predetermined destination, right? So Link's journey from zero to hero is guided completely by players who have multiple options and routes where they can interact with a series of monsters and locations. And so he can become a ninja. All right, so Link can become a this goes back to that kind of conversation about we want to have the widest amount of applicability for the young people who are leaving this course. This reminds me a lot about curriculum design. So when we, as teachers, enter our classrooms, we have a whole range of students with different prior knowledge sets and abilities, right? Nonetheless, we do have a set of shared big goals and learning outcomes. And the question is, how can we get our students from 0 to hero through a set of, again, skills, habits, attitudes, and so forth? What we're doing effectively as educators is we're becoming engineers of teaching and learning experiences. These are the experiences that help empower students reach these kind of shared goals. Not all of them will reach them at the same time. Not all of them will exhibit the same or demonstrate the same amount of understanding, but it is kind of the shared goal. So when I got all of these educators together after about a year, this is sort of what we came up with in terms of our working set of skills, habits, and attitudes. So that we want young students in a digital society to think and act as self-directed learners, empathetic and creative collaborators and communicators, critical and informed users, principled citizens and leaders, and then imaginative and ethical designers. I'll send this out to you, but we actually have you can't read it, we have a bunch of actual individual kinds of skills that we're expecting them to demonstrate. And this is scoured from all kinds of, again, conversations with educators, but also frameworks like UNESCO's digital competency, the International Society of Technology and Education. This is bringing them all together, again, to help inform our little arrows across the chart. So we knew what we wanted to teach, and we knew what the shared goals were. Now we had to start putting together specific experiences in the course. And this is sort of where I am now. I have a meeting in 2 weeks, and I'm going to give you some chart paper in a minute, and then give you a kind of inquiry challenge, and then I'm going to take this to a meeting in 2 weeks and take it forward with another set of educators, right? So this is a part of the review that's all about organizing, refining structured classroom experiences, again, to support our student journey across the course. So we're going to play a quick inquiry game. It's going to take up the rest of the session, and because there's so few of us, you're all going to participate on the same team, and we'll see what we can do. You're now trapped into a game. It's okay, right? So I showed you some slides at the beginning, specifically about focus areas, right? And again, focus areas are essential human concerns to help guide students in a context-based inquiry investigation. They help frame and narrow really broad investigation topics. So I'm going to give you a really broad topic for you to talk about, discuss, and think about, and then we're going to be narrowing it down as we get through the rest of the session. Again, the 6 focus areas that we're going to play with, you're going to play with one of them. It'll be up to you which one you'd like to do. These are big, broad, conceptual focus areas. Spaces and environments, that could include anything from smart homes and smart cities to virtual and online spaces and environments. Labor and commerce, this is all about the changing nature of work and business in a digital society, so the gig and sharing economy, cryptocurrency, automation in the workplace. Arts and expression, digital society has certainly changed and disrupted local and global cultural expression. So we had the highest paid algorithmic art was just sold at Christie's a couple of months ago to online streaming music and emoji-laden text and poems. Politics and institutions, so everything from NGOs to local, regional, national governments have dramatically changed because of digital technology and media, altering future of democracy and activism and citizen participation. Well-being and health, anything from online medical consultation and robotic surgeons to rising concerns and panics about internet and social media addiction. And then learning and education, this is close to all of us. How has digital technology and media changed how we learn, teach, and the nature of schooling in the contemporary world? Again, these are big, broad contexts that are being increasingly disrupted in a digital society. All right. So in this activity, it says get into groups, but I'd like for you to actually just work together. I'd like for you to grab a piece of chart paper. Let's do it. Grab a piece of chart paper and some markers. This way I'll leave with an artifact. It's going to be great. I think as a group you just need one piece of paper, but you can get an extra to like write notes on or something. As many as you want. We're going to be, this is a big broad topic. We're investigating the impact and implications of digital innovation. Right? So we talk a lot about digital innovations, like what is that? Right? Here's my big broad definition for this thing. A digital innovation can mean any new, transformative or emerging device, application, platform, practice, or means of communication in the digital world around us. That's super broad, right? So, what we're going to do so we're going to take that big, broad topic of digital innovation. I have the definition again for us in a second. But I want you to begin narrowing this down as we have a brainstorming discussion and see how many different types of digital innovations, or examples of digital innovations you can think of using just one of these focus areas. Does that make sense? So as a group, you're going to have to figure out which focus area you want to look at and then start a conversation. Just one. Just one focus area, and then it's many different digital innovations. So, this is your first stage. Go for it. Have a nice conversation.
Have a seat for 15 minutes. Do you have 15 minutes for that?
15 minutes.
Okay, let's bring your
There's no right or wrong answer. Just simply to have a conversation. Thanks, guys.
طيب أنا هذا دائما يعني I had a problem with local doctors. I tried the online apps that connect me with doctors in the States. There was connectivity issues وهيك ما حبيت. أنا كان عندي كثير problem يعني personal problems. اللي أنا هلا عم بعمله إنه أنا بدخل على الويب سايت already it sells يعني some drugs, good drugs, good medicine وهيك. بدخل على reviews. I search for my own symptoms or my own problem if I have a diagnosis. بعدين بدخل to select الناس اللي أكثر عملوا good reviews مثلا بحط بدي rating 4.5 and more وأكثر إشي صار فيه يعني بعتوا بالسيمتومز بتفاصيل تبعوني و I just buy it take it on my own وأحسن من كل حاجة عملان أوفر.
Work with you?
It works perfectly وكل حدا بعمل له recommendation it works for them. فأنا دائما أنا أولادي بدهم يصيروا مفكرين بالمدرسة فبقول لهم ماما أنت يعني إذا بتقدر لأن المدرسة البروجرامينج وأنا شغلي كان شوي بالاي اي بالزمانات بقول لهم إذا بنقدر نطور بلاتفورم بدخل أنا بحط السيمبتومز تبعوني وبحط شوية يعني بروفايل ببني عن الهيستوري تبع الميديكال هيستوري وهيك أو الفاميلي مثلا بروبلمز في دايابيتيز في كذا ويعطيني recommendations أول شيء على الدايجنوزس وبعدين إذا في يعني هلا كبلاتفورم يعني يفضل يعني احنا هلا الفكره هذا الانوفيشن انه يكون في بلاتفورم يعمل الشيء اللي انا بعمله سيرشنج ريفيوز وكذا عرفت واقرا
هذا اللي
انت I hope to find a
في شركات تأمين
انا سمعت عنه بس يعني
مصر مثلا موجود
مثلا هذا الشيء بيسهل يعني اذا بنقدر تو انفست تايم يعني الطالب اذا بده يشتغله بده يدرس كثير بالميديسن بالبيولوجي بالتكنولوجي فيه انتجريشن
معناته ابلكيشن فور هيم
موبايل ابلكيشن موبايل او اب او بلاتفورم يعني اونلاين ويب سايت
اوكي عندك هلا لسه well being as a concept is not a easy one especially in our society. We came from a climate of school, economic situation for the students and teachers, and the political. Not easy to talk about it.
أنا
necessary to talk about it. Very.
ممكن يكون في شغل من الديزاين مع التكنولوجيا. طلاب يصيروا يشتغلوا شغلات أفلام يتابعوا اليوم عندنا مرض السكري.
ضغط والضغط او كذا، فبتبدا على شكل يعني سوري يعمل ديزاين مثلا وديفلوبمنت ل ابلكيشن بحيث يورجيك كيف ممكن يتحكم بأكله بمشي اللي يقدر يخفض نسب
بالسعرات الحرارية لازم يستهلكها
يخفض نسب هاي الامراض.
بس هيك بيعني انه انت بتوفر للطالب اللي داخل المدرسة مثلا المفروض الطالب بده تليفون الابلكيشن
مش تليفون، انا بحكي هو يعمل سيميوليشن ممكن يعمل سيميوليشن يعني اول شيء بيعملها ديزاين
فيك
يتعامل مع
في هيك شيء. انا سمعت مرة جابوها على قناة رؤيا اطفال عندهم سكري وكانوا مخترعين جهاز هيك على شرائح وفورا ديجيتال وبتعطيهم قراءة السكر مباشرة. يعني هو is nothing new or modern.
They produced an application for emergency, how to deal with emergency earthquakes, where to go, where the police station, where the nearest hospital, where the opening roads.
Using Google Map بيستخدم مثلا او
he have very distinguished person. He has several languages for computer and mobile program. I think it's one of the well-being and health issues to ensure the safety of citizens or students. Some emergency cases, where to go, where to assembly, where to direct your children to nearest hospital, to the whatever.
هي حلوة إنه في بالفيسبوك فيتشر بس أقل من هيك.
children do that for mobile.
amazing. هلا في بالفيسبوك يعني شغلة أقل اللي هي إنه once there crisis بقول لك إنه are you safe, report your friends that إنه أنت أوكي ولا صار معك شيء. يعني we're taking it steps actually.
And I follow with Article.
يمكن ست صفاء أنا بدي أحكي عن تجربة من سنغافورة. الطلاب في المدارس الحكومية مجرد ما يدخل في ابلكيشن باخذ الحضور والغياب وباخذ الحالة الصحية للطفل من درجة حرارة من وضعه الصحي مباشرة ببلغ إدارة المدرسة وببلغ الأهل. يعني إذا في صبح هذا الحكي خلال 5 دقائق أو 10 دقائق المرور بعد الطابور الصباحي. فبالتالي
والله جميلة.
طيب
هذه مباشرة توصل لإدارة المدرسة.
هون السؤال.
فهذا كان يأخذ.
ما هو بعدين بدك تدور على سبونسرز. هيك بدها تصير في هباء الريح.
فكنت أزمة إذا اليوم بدي أي أول شيء بقيس حرارة ابني هذا يمكن يتسوى
هو لازم
اكستنشن بالموبايل بقيس حرارة ابني بعدين بطلع عندي الرقم. I have to decide am I allowing him to swim today or not. Once I click it, the teacher and whatever it is, she knows or the supervisor that those are students that are not allowed to swim today, even if they asked to because he was like a KG student. He always want to swim, but I'm not allowing him. ففي كل زي هيك كمان نرجع نحكي
والله مشاكل لأنه طفل بيعدي المدرسة.
صح.
That was in Japan in 2003, 4, and 5 when I was staying there. So it's nice to have it like with some, let's say, plugins or added stuff. يعني نعمل شوي advanced. حلو إنه school related. يعني it's in a school context.
You did brain surgery.
حلو إنه هذا الحكي بسكول context. فبكون شوي في they feel relevant as a student.
To measure what?
يعني احنا اللي كنا ناخذ التمبرتشر بس اللي هو
or initial.
Keep talking. Take about like 8 more minutes.
Or sugar level.
Okay. For well-being for our students at school, what you have in your mind, that our students, when you want to punish him, and he will be angry if you don't let him go to school. Not if you don't let him go to school, he will celebrate for that.
I think it's changed.
أو ممكن إنه تكنولوجي بنحكي عن أي شيء موبايل
هذا الشيء صح. اوكي اي شيء انه ممكن متى الموت تاع طالب كان على شيء وبالتالي هاي تاخذ
اللي معلم
كان الطالب يعني هيك انديكيتور او جهاز ولو بسيط
تعطيك السنس.
ايوه متى كان الموت تاعه بالماث بحصه الماث باي دقيقه
هاي يعني وين الدوبامين يشتغل السيروتونين
كيف انت رائع I told my colleague there his children kids went to school after half an hour they come back he found the school why my kids at school at home they said to him there is a negative atmosphere
وين هذا؟
أشكرك. All external experiences, unfortunately. يعني we can describe it saying like a mood monitor. You can say it's a mood monitor. مع say connection or relating to the procedure اللي صارت.
To develop the strategies.
عشان to know what's the anchor.
For the class environment.
الزرار اللي اخترع حساس البنزين بالسيارة ما بدكش يشتغل على الشغل هذا.
يعني انت
سنسر
كلنا يعني نشتغل بالتعليم
بيجيبوا لنا الاردن بيصير سنسر
بلحظه من اللحظات
حتى بالسيارة بيجيبوا
بتشوف الاودينس تاعينك خبطوا بلحظه من اللحظات متى بناء عليه بصير تعليم
هلا كأنا كثير ان لاف بالميديسن بحب كمان يعني اذا بدي احط ماي بيرسونال تاتش بهذا الحكي انه يكون فيها شوي بالنيورولوجي يعني انت يو نيد تو let's say to measure ايش اسمهم ترانسفورمرز اللي هم دوبامين سيروتونين ايش بنسميهم؟ انه الكيميكال شيء اللي بالضبط مش بس يعني الابييرنس او البادي لانجوج will tell you what's happening
تقول على ادرينالين
Are we going wild? Like too wild?
This is exactly what you should be doing.
Okay.
كيف كلها مكيفات اخصائي مكيفات
بشريه بس.
So now what I would challenge you to do as we come like the end of this like very quick opening step is on the chart paper write down what was the focus area that you started with. Right?
When one of them, like you have to decide which one are we working on?
We decided well-being and
yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So right, well-being and health, is that the focus area you're working in?
Yes.
So write that, and then list all of the things that you just talked about, right? And so let's get it on the chart paper so that we have it.
Okay. I have the worst handwriting ever.
أو ممكن
That way I can also see like what this. I want to see what you've been talking about. Yeah.
We are analyzing. That's it.
لهذا بس
أو
كلهم وايت بورد ماركرز كلهم وايت بورد ماركرز هيك بدنا نعملها
زي ما بدك تحطيها هون وهيك او بس
حطيت health and go with E skip that part okay هذا أنجلي so إيش في أشياء حكينا عنها
application to measure مثلا stress for the teachers in school in certain situations
يعني in one or two words عشان يكون هيك
one
health indicator for
الابلكيشن to measure temperature
يعني فكرة في كمان بلجن تنحط مشان diabetes إذا عندك diabetes students نقدر يصير connected to the app ينزل على الداتابيس تبع المدرسة or the school they know the schedule for today like
right now they have some kind of machine they put it here
diabetes sensor
I have to exactly and give the necessary insulin without an injection
بس إذا في كذا فكرة هيك مع temperature مع كذا فأحسن to connect them on one app بصير عنده one record
there is no need it's automatically doing
actually, I know, but I mean that's only for diabetes. But if we're considering temperature as well, maybe blood pressure and lots of stuff. If we're having someone with, let's say, autism or so.
دقات القلب في بعض الحالات أو دقات القلب في بعض الأشخاص. إذا احتاج نزل أو طلع عنده يكون في منظم.
I have blood pressure. I asked the doctor. Do you want all the humans to be 120 over? It's not necessary for
yeah.
The answer me like
it's
that.
different for each.
If you are comfortable with this, with the number you have,
It's for you, like it's a grade or so.
For your physics and body, it's good for us. But all of them,
They increases the pressure? Yes. 139.
كتير مثل فيتامين دي ايش الليفل كله عم بيتغير like changing every 5 years.
We don't have vitamin D or B12.
How? Never.
Zero. I'm having like I broke the scale downstairs. Diabetes. Don't check my spelling.
It's all good.
Blood pressure, which is hypertension. False hypertension.
HP ذكرني في الألم HP.
B or P?
Blood.
Blood.
Okay, so now what I would like to do for the next step is I'd like for you to take the next 10 minutes or so to, if you have your phones, is to try and find as many kind of real world examples of at least one of these. So you have 3, so you can all focus on one together, or you can divvy it up, it's up to you. But really go into, are there any news articles, are there a Wikipedia entry, you're looking for...
We have to make search for that?
Search?
Yeah. So basically, it's trying to gather some detail.
Current technology stuff that's already there outside to serve this any aspect of it. So خلينا نقرر على واحد.
It's what's up, right? It's to help, now that you have these ideas, right, on digital innovations related to health and well-being, let's see what's out there now, right? Right? Even if it's the name of a particular app or platform, or if it's in your 10-minute searching, it's I found this article about problems.
We need to decide on one first, right? To make it.
I think you can.
Choose what takes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can all focus on one, or you can video. It's up to you. Do the one that do the one that you like the most.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. So again, this is all about we've done some kind of basic brainstorming, and now we're using some search skills.
This is صفاء. وهي مين أخذها؟ عشان بلاش كنا
أنا باخذ هذه
دكتور ديرار.
So we're looking for news articles or Wikipedia entries, blog posts, any type of detail that you can find. And you can fill up as much of it as you want. It's just making a big long list.
Okay, why not? So I'm alone. Okay.
We all will.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
I'm taking notes. Is that okay?